Hey, BassGeek here, and here are 6 mistakes that are costing you bass fishing a shaky head in the summer. That's right, geeks. I have made every mistake coming and going when it comes to shaky heads in the summer, and especially what we're going to be talking about today, mag shaky heads for summer bass. Now, I know summer's almost over, and this is one of the ways to keep those deep bass biting, but it is very important that you don't make the same mistakes that I had to learn the hard way. So mistake number 1 when it comes to fishing a shaky head offshore during the summer, offshore can mean a lot of things. It doesn't have to mean deep, it can also mean pretty shallow. But the biggest mistake that I see most people make is they select the wrong size weight. Now, what's great about the Omega Shaky Foot is that it comes from a quarter all the way up to an ounce. What you want is the lightest head you can get away with to stay in contact with the bottom and not get hung up. Current can play into that. So if you're fishing, say, a Tennessee River ledge, current will definitely make a big difference. You're going to want to upsize what you would, say, fishing in a lake like Douglas Lake. I might fish deeper, but there's not as much current as there may be on one of the Tennessee River lakes. For example, let's say I'm fishing anything up to about 10 feet. Well, a quarter ounce is going to work perfect. Maybe without any current or any wind, I can get away with fishing it out to about 15. But then I'm going to push up to that 1/2, and anything above that, I'm going to really start pushing up to that 5/8, which is one of my favorites right here. Mistake number 2 is choosing a shaky head with the right kind of hook. And one thing I can say about the Omega Shaky Foot is that hook you can use any kind of bait with. That is a Gamakatsu, and it has got more than enough bite for any bait you want to put on it. Now, don't get me wrong, this is one of my favorite setups. This is the X-Zone Fat Finesse Worm 6-inch, good girthy bait to put on this hook. It's going to have plenty of gap again, going back to the hook. Mistake number 3, though, is using the same old worm in the same old color all the time. Like I said, this is my go-to. I've caught a ton of bass on it, but you want to change it up. Not only color, but baits like this. Again, what's great about this is an 11-inch X-Zone ribbon tail. It's called the Blitz Worm, and this is in black watermelon red. Another great option is the Yum Dinger. This is a 5-inch. This is in green pumpkin sparkle. One of the things I like about the Yum Dinger is it's a little more buoyant and a little more durable than, say, a Senko. Now, you can't forget your creatures and craws, and this is one of my favorites from August through September, and that is the Ditch Lobster by J-Bros. Now, this is a 4-inch craw, but it looks a lot bigger. This thing works perfectly with the Shaky Foot from Omega Custom Tackle. Love this thing, love how it looks, love how it works. It is the perfect combination. And yes, the claws will stand up. The 4th mistake is using the wrong knot. Now, geeks, you know I use 1 or 2 knots 99.9% of the time. We're just going to tie a pit seam. It's just going to come down, and then we're just going to go 5 to 6 times. We're going to pass it through that loop at the top. We're going to pull it down. We're going to moisten so that we don't burn the line. Snug it, snug it. The only difference between that and a San Diego jam knot is that we go through the top loop and the bottom loop before we cinch it down. Now, we cut our tag in, and we can go fish this thing. Number 5 is rod, reel, and line setup. You geeks know I love my TFO, and this is their high end. Now, they came out with a new 100% made in the USA rod. You should go check those out. They are super high end, they are super sweet. But this is the Resolve bass. This is a 7.6 heavy. This is just kind of my casting jig setup. And you can see it's easily rated from a half to a 1.5. I can throw 3/8 ounce on it, great. It's a fast tip, but these things are crazy sensitive. Now I've got this paired with an Arc Gravity, and this is, I believe, a G3, and it is an 8.1. Casting jigs, I'm cool with throwing that 8.1, and as always, I'm not fishing in a lot of grass. If you're fishing around a lot of grass or heavy cover, I'm just throwing 15 to 17 pound K9 Pro 100. Hey, make sure you check out the Pro 100. 10% off discount right there. And number 6 is retrieve. Everybody gets stuck using that same old retrieve. Change it up. So fishing this little bad boy, I'm gonna do a couple of different things when I fish it. I'm gonna make a cast up to where I want, whether that's gonna be shallow a lot of times during September or deeper in August when I'm out there still dragging this around the ledges. Once it hits the bottom, a big key is I'm gonna hold my rod and I'm not ever going past 11. So I'm gonna be at about a 9 and I'm gonna bring it up to 11 and then I'm gonna reel down. Never getting that rod too high so that I can set the hook. I've got plenty of room to set the hook, so I'm not missing those fish. But after I make my cast, basically I'm gonna reel up most of the slack. I'm just gonna shake the slack in the line, try not to move the bait at all. That'll get those claws to kind of moving, wiggling a little bit, shaking like a shaky head. Then I'll drag it just a touch, maybe a foot or so, and then I'm gonna shake it again, and then I'm gonna hop it and let it fall, because a lot of times you're gonna get a good reaction bite when this thing falls. So I try to draw the fish in, hop it up, let it fall, so that maybe once it gets that movement, either up or as it falls, you get a good reaction bite. Now hook set, again, it's gonna be straight up, then you're gonna reel down to keep that bass from jumping, then you're gonna boat hop them in. This is a big, juicy, girthy hook. You ain't gotta worry about getting the net on this. Don't fight them, don't play with them, crank their rear ends to the boat and put them in it. All right, make sure you go check out the Shakey Football Shakey Head by Omega Tackle, along with a ton of other stuff. And if you want to go check out a completely weedless jig by Omega, the Salvation, go check this video out right here. As always, questions, comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. Join the 100% Watch Squad. Be a Bass Geek Nation. Help us grow, and you geeks rock.